Dead Rails just dropped its biggest update ever, and now we've got a total of 16 classes, each with their own wild abilities. Some of them are absolutely busted, while others, let's just say you're better off with no class at all. So today, we're going to be ranking every single class, including the new Werewolf, Necromancer, Packmaster, and Musician. From the most clapped to the most overpowered, let's get right into it. Okay, so let's start with what I think is still the worst class in the game, the Zombie. It costs a ridiculous 75 bonds, and its whole gimmick is that you can eat dead bodies to restore health. It sounds pretty cool, right? But when you use it in a real fight, it's not really valuable. As you can see, I kill literally 3 zombies, and I try to eat as much corpses as I can, and I barely get back a chunk of health. And as a zombie class, I'm literally not allowed to use any band-aids or snake oils, so I only could rely on this, which sucks. Okay, so to sum it up, unless they completely rework the healing mechanic or let us use band-aids and snake oils as zombies, it is not worth it. Biggest waste of bonds in the entire game. Do not look at this class. Next up, we've got the Miner, and this one hurts because it sounds useful, but it kind of just falls flat. You spawn with 2 coal, which sounds helpful early on, and you can fuel the train and maybe buy a weapon right away since you don't have to buy coal on the first start. But the coal gives you a one-time economy boost, and the headlamp gives you slightly better vision at nighttime, but that's where its value pretty much ends. There's no passive ability, no real combat benefit, and the pickaxe does the same as a normal shovel. This is literally a default class. You can pretty much buy this if you're a normal person if you have cash, so I feel like it's not really worth it other than the miner hat, which is still not that crazy, but yeah. So to wrap it up, this class is basically a slight upgraded default character that becomes irrelevant after your first town. Decent if you're brand new, but otherwise there are way better 15 bond options. Moving on, the Alamo Class. This one's okay, but only in super specific situations. You spawn with 3 sheets of metal, 3 barbed wires, and a helmet. If you build right, you can turn your train into a mini fortress early game on, and it's actually solid if you get swarmed night 1. But once that initial gear runs out, you're stuck with no passive ability and nothing that separates you from a regular player. Even the helmet doesn't absorb that much damage. It's more of a cosmetic than protective. Alamo is like, I wouldn't personally pick it, but it's not bad for defensive-minded players or solo runs early on. But once you hit mid-game, it's dead weight, you're pretty much useless, and you can literally buy a box of sheet metal and get 4. So yeah, definitely for 50 bonds, do not buy this. Save your money, bro. Coming in at number 13 is the Priest, and this one feels like a ripoff because of the 75 bonds it costs to get the class. You spawn with 2 holy waters and 2 crucifixes, which sound great on paper, especially for new players. The holy water can wipe out a decent chunk of zombies if you time to throw right, and the crucifix stuns enemies around you. Being a priest, you also get full lightning immunity, which is cool for stuff like Tesla boss raids and just not dying to, lightning all of a sudden. So at least you get a passive ability, which is a lightning immunity, but you can fix that easily with the rod. Once you use up your holy items, that's it. No passive regen, no extra damage, no special healing. You just turn into a regular survivor pretty much that can just survive lightning. And without your holy water and stuff, you're basically useless, and for 75 bonds, that's rough. So to wrap it up, if you're doing a boss run or a theme challenge, sure, Priest has some cool niche uses, but in most runs, it's not worth the bond cost at all, and you can literally walk into a church and get those items. Okay, next up, at number 12, we have the Musician, which is one of the newer and weirder support classes, and it costs 60 bonds. The idea is unique. You can play songs that buff your teammates and heals them if they're around the area. So the thing is, it does sound great, right? You can play music for the team and heal them, but guess what? When you're playing an instrument, you can't fight, no guns, no healing, you're just standing there completely open, and we all know what happens if you're trying to play the Musician as solo queue. You're literally, what are you doing? You just get a banjo pretty much. That's literally all you're doing. So I would say it's actually kind of not worth it. Solo queue definitely not worth it, but only in a coordinated squad is where I feel like it can shine, especially when you've got some good aggro players while you play support. But for most players, it's not going to be worth 60 bonds unless you always run with the same team that knows what's up. So cool idea. Bad solo, needs buff to be viable outside team comps, so yeah. Now, coming in at number 11, we have the Arsonist, alright? And this one is cheap, just at 15 bonds, but super high risk, high reward type of character. So, you spawn with 4 Molotovs, which do massive area damage, especially against clustered zombies or bandits. So pretty much this class gives you 2 times fire damage, so if you're not an Arsonist, the mollies won't do as much damage as an Arsonist. So the class can actually melt towns if you use it right, and the Molotovs spread fire over time and keep burning the enemy. So if you like kind of zombie train them, You know, in all honesty, the Arsonist is fun, it's chaotic, but it's not consistent enough for most runs, and once your Molotovs are gone, you're back to square one. So yeah, it is fun and worth it for 15 bonds, just don't expect to carry without good aim or mobility or actual guns. Okay, at number 10, we've got the Doctor, a cheap, solid support class that actually pulls its weight, especially early game. It only costs 15 bonds, and what you get for that price is honestly not bad at all. You start with 2 bandages and 2 snake oils, which already puts you ahead of the other survivors who have to scavenge for healing. But the real value comes from the Doctor's passive ability, so the Doctor can revive teammates without using a bandage. Just walk up to them and revive. But it'll cost you half your health, but that shouldn't be an issue since you'll regain it over time. So take a look right here how I get him up instantly, but my health bar tanks. That trade-off is clutch in squad fights, especially when someone gets down during a town raid or a Tesla fight. And this class isn't meant to solo towns, so you don't deal extra damage and your gear won't carry you through a whole wave. But if you're supporting a group or duo queuing, it makes a huge difference. Let's not forget about snake oil. It gives you 2, which is 70 cash right away, and they're actually very OP in certain situations. So for 15 bonds, the Doctor is great value, not flashy, but if you're running with a squad or duos, it's one of the best support picks you can make. Next up, number 9, the High Roller. This class is all about money efficiency, and you get better sell prices than any other class in the game, and that advantage adds up. So when you start off, other players are going to get 70 cash with the gold bar they sell, but this guy starts with 95. That means you could have a gun and get coal right off the start. So in most runs, that early money lets you grab a rifle immediately after the first town, and you'll outplace your squad when it comes to gear every single time. But here's the twist. You also have a 10 times higher chance of getting struck by lightning. And trust me, when a storm hits you, you'll get it. So as long as you're smart and duck into buildings or the train when the sky goes crazy, you're fine. But if you forget, you're gonna get fried. Still, for 50 bonds, the economic edge you get makes a High Roller a great class for fast progression, but you just gotta respect the weather. Going over to number 8, we've got the Conductor, probably one of the most underrated utility classes in Dead Rail. So you pretty much start with 2 coal, and your passive lets you drive the train faster and more fuel efficient than any other class. So the max speed for normal classes is around 65, but with this class you get, I think, 86 or 85, around there. But that will let you finish the game way faster, and that's huge for teams trying to win or conserve supplies. So if you're the designated train driver, it's actually really good. You guys can get done really quick. If you're going for a speed run or something like that, it's useful. But other than that, you got no guns, no other passive other than driving the train faster and your coal being more efficient. So if you're soloing, Conductor can be dangerous, but in coordinated teams, it can become one of the strongest support roles in the entire game. 50 bonds, well spent, just don't take a bullet. So kicking off the top 7, we got the Necromancer, one of the 4 brand new classes and probably the coolest concept added to Dead Rails. So here's the gimmick. So every time you kill an enemy, you can raise them from the dead, and they pretty much are your ally. But the very big downside is you have to finish off the enemy with a melee, so you cannot like shoot them. So if you're fighting a big werewolf or something very dangerous, getting close and personal like that is not safe. So that is one of the biggest downsides, and it's like a 25% chance of them even becoming your ally. So the Necromancer costs 35 bonds, so it is not that expensive, but the Jade Sword is probably better. The Jade Sword, you get 50% chance of it becoming your ally and reanimated, and this is 25% chance. So honestly, I feel like you're better off without it, but hey. So yeah, this class is amazing for town clearing or creating chaos in fights, but you have to get up close and personal for them to even become your ally. Moving on to number 6 is another new one, the Packmaster, and this one plays completely different from everything else. So your starting equipment is going to be 3 tamed wolves and 1 shovel. And one big major thing of this class is any werewolf that attacks you will become yours. So literally just jump in front of a pack of wolves and they'll all become yours. And a great thing is you can store all of them in your bag. And for 35 bonds, this is pretty good, but make sure that every time you try to tame a wolf, the second it gets tamed, put it in your bag right away, because the tamed wolf will try to fight that one that you're trying to tame, so you got to be careful about that. So yeah, wolves are great for clearing towns, hunting bandits, or even getting yourself out of sticky situations with a big werewolf. So yeah, for 35 bonds, Packmaster is a strong solo pick and even better in team where others can capitalize on the pressure you create. Aggressive, fast, and reliable. At number 5, we got the Ironclad, which is probably the most durable class in all of Dead Rails. So you start with a full suit of armor, and I mean full, from helmet, chest plate, and everything. This armor blocks a massive chunk of damage damage, especially from zombies and bandits. So if you pair this up with snake oils, you will literally be invincible. But the big downside is you're going to move 10% slower than other classes, and it also is the most expensive class in the game, coming in at 100 bonds. So an extra tip is if you're riding a horse, you can negate that 10% extra slow movement. So if you're playing solo, get on a horse and you literally are going to be like a normal person with full armor and just be unstoppable. So snake oils and a horse will be your best friend with Ironclad. So for 100 bonds, Ironclad is a top tier rank and perfect pick if you're trying to fight bosses or solo some big towns. Just make sure to grab the horse. Coming in at number 4, one of my personal favorites, we've got the Cowboy. And this class is built for one thing, dominating the early game right away. You spawn in with the revolver, 2 boxes of ammo, and the best part, your very own tamed horse with a saddle from the start. That means from the first town, you've already got mobility, firepower, cash, and flexibility. You can kite zombies, bait them in lines, and just pick them off your horse. The only big negative is this horse does start to fall off late game, because once you start getting a lot of cash and able to get money, your revolver becomes pretty useless. So the horse doesn't become as useless as a revolver, but yeah, that's going to be the biggest thing that becomes useless, honestly. So yeah, the Cowboy for 50 bonds is probably one of the best solo-friendly, fast-starting classes in the game. If you want to fly through your first few towns and get rich early, this is going to be your pick, guys. At number 3, we've got the Vampire, a class that transforms you into a monster, especially once the sun goes down. So the OP thing about the Vampire is you literally move faster than anything out there. The wolf, the horse, running zombies, anything else. And you spawn with a vampire knife, giving you lifesteal and essentially making up for the lost health in sunlight. So right away, you already become an unstoppable beast because you get spawned in with the knife and all the abilities, running fast, etc. But here's the catch. During the day, you take constant damage from sunlight and you need band-aids or snake oils just to stay alive when it's bright out, or hide in little shacks or inside the train. So this means you got to play very hyper aggressive, get in, wipe out enemies, loot quick, duck into cover, or wait for nightfall. So if you're confident with movement, aggression, and managing healing, Vampire is a top tier slayer, especially at nighttime. And it costs 75 bonds. And coming in at number 2, we have the Survivalist. And this one, if you know how to manage your HP bar, it's completely broken. So it costs 75 bonds and you spawn with a tomahawk, which you can sell right away to grab ammo, coal, or a basic gun. But the real power comes from your passive. The lower your health, the more damage you deal, and it stacks hard. The thing is, if you know how to outweigh your risk, this class is good, because one wrong step and you're dead. You gotta be low HP. My recommendation, be on a horse and start shooting them, and you can literally one-tap anything from any distance with any gun if you're low HP. So this is one of the few classes where being low HP is a strategy, not a disadvantage, alright? So for only 75 bonds, Survivalist gives you the highest raw damage output in the game, period. So you gotta make sure you have a good crew with you, because if you do, you could probably kill anything. But if you master it, you are untouchable. And finally, number 1, the absolute menace of Dead Rails right now, the Werewolf. So at night, this class transforms into a beast, literally. You gain 2 times movement speed, 2 times melee damage, 2 times gun damage, 2 times every single thing, literally. So I can literally wipe a whole town out with the worst gun in the game, because everything is 2 times damage. I'm literally running through. I can outrun everything in the game, from horses, big buff werewolves, everything. So this is probably my favorite class. Like, you could wipe out literally anything, and the only downside is morning. So during the day, you revert to human form and lose all the buffs, but the downside, you go to 0.9 times the normal. So 100% being a normal human, you're at 90%. So your speed is 10% slower and everything like that. So it's not that bad, but at nighttime, you don't have to worry about anything, because you can outrun anything, outkill anything. You're literally unstoppable. So for 50 bonds, I think Werewolf is hands down the most broken class in the current version of Dead Rails. If you play smart and time your hunts around nightfall, you become a nightmare. So yeah, tell me what you guys think about this video. Please like and subscribe. It's been your boy Yario, and I'm out. Peace out.